My child asked me this question when he was 6. He said, Mommy, what is condom?
Oh my God!
That's the thing, because parents think that, oh, my child doesn't know anything, though he's not aware of, they are blind. But they are interacting with their friends.
Parents who talk to their children about sex education or sexuality, their children have delayed response in engaging in risky behaviors. You know, some of these children that are aware. And when you say how much is too much, this is where we bring in the sex education zone is a no judgmental zone. Your home must be a safe haven, must be a safe space where your children can confidently talk to you about any and every of their challenge, including sexuality issues. Mommy, no, now. See, but you know there's something called crush. Yeah. It has started. So there are different informal ways you can have this conversation without you being awkward in yourself, without the conversation sounding awkward. It's when you sit down, you yourself, you'll be tensed. Hey, Mommy, what is condom? He saw it at the supermarket. And oh my God, Mommy, I saw one thing. He said, what is condom? I said,
Are you part of the parents who wonder when exactly is the right time to sex educate your children? Do you wonder how much is too much and to what extent and at what age you should be able to talk to your child, your teenager, your preteen about sex? In today's conversation on P&T Show, we're going to be diving into all of that. And I have someone most qualified to have this conversation with me in the studio. Hello and welcome to yet another episode of P&T Show. On this show, we celebrate parenting and we inspire teenagers. My name is your favorite host, Precious Flourish Ifeanyichukwu, and I'm going to be turning the table over to Counsellor Cynthia. Wait until you see her profile, because this woman of God right here has been preaching the gospel of sexual purity for as long as I've known her. And she has written numerous books, resource materials, trainings that she does for parents. And you just want to listen to her as we start off. She is someone I love and respect so much when it comes to sexual purity conversations. She's like the mama. It's good to have you in the studio, ma'am.
Good to have you too.
Thank you. Thank you for coming. You know, I love the fact that you're very passionate about helping young people and, you know, also helping parents to help the young people. So I'm going to start off, you know, with a question of why is it important for parents to sex educate their children at a young age?
Okay, it's very important for parents to sex educate their children because sex education in itself is life. And when you look around, everywhere, the billboard, the media, the newspaper, everything speaks sex. So why not sex education if not sex education?
Why not if not?
Why not if not? You know, sex education is one primary thing. After teaching your children about Bible knowledge and all that, sex education is next, because right now we are living in a hypersexualized world where everything they turn to is sex. And it is also very important for parents to start sex educating their children early enough. I do hear, let's say, most African parents, during our time, they say, okay, there's a particular time when you're supposed to have this conversation, and you and I know that time. And the time is maybe when they started noticing fine face, fine shape. What's that telling us? Puberty. Yeah. They start noticing the onset of puberty, and they introduce this. Before then, so many things have gone under the water. So as parents, it's our primary duty. In fact, parents, as I always tell them, should be their children's first primary sexuality educator. So why should they be their children's first primary sexuality educator? It helps build this parent-child relationship. When you talk to your child about sex, it builds trust. It opens them to healthy relationship with you. I don't know if you have observed, in most homes where these conversations are not awkward, where a parent can just say anything. You see, there is this freedom and relationship, good, healthy relationship and bond among the family members. But when you go to a home where this sex conversation of a thing is like a taboo, all you smell is secrecy. Yeah, you know, there is tension, there is secrecy. Everybody wants to do things in their cubicle. Yeah. They're not usually open. So yes, sex education is a thing that every parent should have with their children. And when you ask me when, I always say this, that this sex conversation should always begin from the cradle.
Just said from the cradle now, because I was going to ask you at what age, because I know a lot of parents listening to this show will be wondering, okay, Counsellor Cynthia, at what age? Because I don't know how much is now too much for this, my 2-year-old toddler and all that. So what do you have to say about that?
Okay, so when we talk about having sex conversation from the cradle, I'm not saying you just give birth to a child. Of course, the child cannot hear, you cannot talk. Start having the sex conversation. Sex conversation begins from bonding, connection. Sex conversation, the first thing is connection. Where there is no connection, you cannot have any kind of conversation, not even sex education with your children. So that bond, I believe, should begin from the cradle. A child you're not available with, or a child that you're not available for, you cannot give you their ears. So you should build that connection from cradle. So from the ages of 0 to 2, you are building the connection with your child. From 2, some children have started talking, right? So you start teaching them parts of their body, body autonomy. As long as your child can talk, you can start having the conversation. What is this? Not private part. For the boys, the penis. For the girls, the vagina, the buttocks. Call it what it is. Stop nicknaming the private parts, right? You don't stay. Something happens to you, you say, it's like my kidney is paining me. As in, I'm having nose pain. Nobody does that. So why do you now do that to the private part? The private part, they all have their different names. So call their names. Let your children be familiar with the names, right? So that's where you start from cradle, introducing the body part to them from the ages of 0 to 2. From 3 to 5, this is the age of curiosity, where they will ask you, Mommy, most of those parents that do birth with their children, Mommy, why is daddy's penis big and my penis is small? Age of curiosity. They want to know. At this age, you should start teaching them body privacy, body boundaries. Teach them consent. It's not everybody you will go and touch their private parts, their penis or their vagina. It's not everybody you will hit. It's not everybody you will hug. It's not everybody that should hug you. Learn to ask. Can I hug you? Can I give? I'm not saying this to those parents that used to say, this is your auntie, hug her, hug her. It's not by force. Because when you force them to do these things, these pedophiles, they have a way of doing these things. Yes, they have gained your trust. You have introduced them as aunties, uncle. And most of those people, according to research, are the people that have molested children more. So don't force them to hug grandma, grandpa. Teach them consent. If they're okay to hug, always tell your sisters and brothers, tell the whoever, please, I've taught my child this. Don't hug them by force. Oh, Junior, can I hug you? Can I give you a hug? Come and give grandma a hug. Please, can I have a hug? Teach them consent. Teach them boundaries. Not everybody wants you to hold your hand. You know, children, when they're playing, come, come, come. They just pull, but they are playing. But you need to teach them boundaries. When you teach them boundaries, nobody can just come and touch their buttocks. This is my boundary. This is my space. You cannot come into my space. So from that 3 to 5, you're teaching them consent, you're teaching them privacy, you're teaching them boundaries. Now, the ages of 6 to 8, this is where we have all the crushes, butterflies flying in their tummies. You know, they want to love, according to them. That is love. We know it's puppy love, yes. We call it crush. But most parents don't have this conversation with their children. As a matter of fact, I've had a 10-year-old boy being taken for deliverance because he was crushing on a girl in their class. Yes.
Deliverance.
Yes, deliverance.
For crushing on someone.
Crushing.
Oh my God.
The truth is, some parents don't know because they don't want to know. If that parent know what crush is, they won't take the child for deliverance. All right?
Because there's nothing wrong with the child.
There's nothing wrong with the child because the parent is not aware. So at this age, there are a lot of crushing flying up and down. We need to talk to them about crush. Not just talking to them about crush. We need to teach them how to handle crush. I remember when my child was 7 years old, she wrote a love note to a boy in her class. And it happened that I was teaching the school, I take the school diction, the class. So I was about entering the class. Now, remember I said connection. If I had not built a connection with my child, this wouldn't have happened. Before I entered the class, my child ran to me She said, Mommy, there's something I want to say. He said, I wrote a love note to a boy and he said, they're going to report to you. I said, no problem, I'll handle it. And I went into the class, like, oh, Mr. Bulese, this. I said, don't worry, I've heard about it. We'll talk about it playfully. And after the class, I addressed it. When we got home, and the thing about it is, this boy actually rejected my daughter. Her precious love.
Oh my God. Heartbreak.
So we are not just going to teach our children about crush. We are going to teach them how to handle rejection. So that was one thing I taught her when I got home. I told her that she's precious and her love should not be thrown to everybody. It's what should be guided. You know, I talked to her about rejection. You can like somebody and somebody does not like you. It's not a crime. We have seen so many cases in the university, heartbreaks and all that, somebody taking sniper because the boy said, I'm no longer interested. That child has not been taught how to handle rejection. As a matter of fact, you will get a lot of no's in this life. So from this early age, we need to start teaching them how to handle rejection. To your crush, some might accept you, some might say no. How will you handle it? Parents need to teach the children about crush and also how to handle rejection in case they said no. In my own case, like my daughter's case, right?
So just before you move, let's because someone might be listening and they'll be like, okay, are you not saying that children should act on their crush, like write love letters to their crush? If I have a crush as a 6-year-old, 10-year-old, should I write a letter to them should I act on that feeling? So how should that be handled?
That is an emotion and is a phase. And emotions, like I always tell parents, your children are sexual beings. At every point in time, they will experience different emotions. And I do tell these children that emotions come in phases. Some last, some don't. The crush thing is a phase. Okay. Do not allow your crush you. It's a phase that will always pass. I give an example of myself. When I was 9, I was crushing on a 20-something-year-old bros. I was like, I wish this guy can just come and marry me. And of recent, I saw this guy like, my God, was this my crush? He's now so old, he's no more fine. I said, was this my crush? It was just an emotion. Imagine if I had acted on that emotion. Okay, this bros eventually married. What would have been my case? So it's a phase that will pass. As per the love letter, it's part of the things that will happen in between. Some you can stop, some you cannot stop. I didn't get to know that she was having an emotion like that until she wrote the note. There was nothing really bad in the note. She just said, I like you. So when I now went down to ask the reason why she likes the boy, she said nobody in the class gives her attention. But at times this boy will come, have you written your notes? Are you having any issue? It's not as if there is any sexual thing to it. Some might just be crushing on this other person because of their intellect or their intelligence, right? Some might be crushing because of facial beauty. True. Some might be crushing because they are among the big boys, the big girls, cliques. So there are different reasons for this, they are crushed. Some might be emotional. Like my daughter's case was emotional because this guy was giving him attention. There was nothing to it. So we need to know what exactly is behind what they are crushing. Then we can now help them deal with it appropriately. So you're asking if they should act on their emotion. It depends on what it is. Emotions is normal. Crush is a phase that will pass. So how you act on it, it depends on what the parents have taught the children. So dear parents, if you have this age range between the 6 to 8, teach them about crush. Read books, buy books. Some of us, we don't know this out of the... Google is your friend, right? Some parents may not want to pay coaches. They don't want to pay counselors. They want to Google. You will get good materials. Teach the children. Don't leave them unaware. Because most of these children that you find in schools today committing atrocities in the name of crush and all that, they're not well taught. Some of these children come in counseling, like last 2 weeks, one came and like, oh ma, I'm crushing on this boy. I don't know what to do when I see him, butterfly in my tummy. We talked about it. And the last time she came in the counseling, she said, okay, ma'am, You know, I've sought out, I'm no longer interested in this person. It's now this one. But I can control myself. When I see him, this is how I act. This is me teaching this child. The parents, they are not aware that this child is going through this phase. She is lucky because she has a counselor close by. Yeah. Some children don't. So parents need to do their due diligence, do their homework to teach their children accordingly. Then we are talking about teenagers. We've not gone there. Okay. This teenage age, teach them more. Talk to them about sex. When I say sex, don't hide. Be honest and be open when you're having the conversation. You see, the days of fear-based education, when the boy taught you get pregnant, is gone. Because right now, boys are hugging them anyhow and they're not getting pregnant. So you have to be real, have honest conversation. Do not forget to tell them about the consequences. I am not saying don't do. You know, some parents say, if I catch you, don't need to stress yourself. Any child that goes overboard will face the consequence. You will not, most parents, they shield their children a lot. When you talk to them about this, also talk to them about the consequences of every action that they take while teaching them. So in this phase, talk to them about building healthy relationship, keeping healthy circle. Teach them media literacy. Very important. Talk to them about what they watch, what they see. Maybe later on we'll talk about how to, you know, talk to them to protect there's some important gates that they need to know. We'll teach them how to protect these gates. It will help them.
Wow, this is a full masterclass. Parents, are you feeling the fire? Thank you so much, Counsellor Cynthia. This has been an eye-opening session with you. So, talking about parents and how and when they should teach what, a lot of parents worry with the fact that, oh, if I teach my children sex education on time, they will become curious and maybe experimental. And because of that fear, they now hold back. What do you have to say to such parents?
Okay, according to research, we do our program and everything we talk about based on research. So according to research, it has been found that parents who have the sex conversation with their children have delayed response in involving in risky behaviors.
Wow, you can say
yes.
that again.
Parents who talk to their children about sex education or sexuality, their children have delayed response in engaging in risky behaviors. You know, some of these children that are aware, and when you say how much is too much, this is where we bring in age-appropriate sex education, as we have mentioned earlier on. Whatever thing you're teaching your child, if you teach your child and your child goes out to experiment, then your sex education, there's a pothole in that sex education. Any child you teach and the child become curious and go overboard to, you know, experiment, then there is a problem with what you have taught that child. Because most of these children, when they are aware, when they are not aware of something, you're hiding it from them, and they get to know, it is that time they want to experiment. Yeah. They become curious. Yeah. Oh, this thing mommy is saying. But when you tell them, they know. If there is anything or any challenge on the way, they will come to you and they will have this conversation. So when you say how much is too much, this is where you now know how to have the age-appropriate conversation with the children. If you have the age, you cannot be telling a 3-year-old about sex. And when we're talking about sex, you're not telling them about the mechanics of sex. When you say sex education for 3-year-old, like I said, you're talking to them about consent. Yeah, you're talking to them about boundaries. You're talking to them about body autonomy. Yeah. These are part of the scheme in sex education. So you're still doing not sex per se. So as they develop, you as a mother, you know their sexual developmental age. Now, not all children develop sexually. The sexual development does not come up together. You cannot bring my child is 11. He will be 11 by April. You cannot bring him with another 11-year-old child and teach the same topic because of what this child has learned, because of what he has been exposed to. My children read all of my books. They can actually sex educate their mate. So they read all of my books. They were having a conversation about how a woman gets pregnant. I was just quiet. This boy was talking about how the sperm will get into the vagina, how the egg will travel through the fallopian tube, go into the uterus to plant. And the sister was like, just keep quiet, just stop it. I said, allow him talk. That he was 9 then. So you can't bring his age mate and have the same conversation. Why am I saying this? Every parent should know the sexual developmental age of their child. So I don't just bring children together because they are 9. I separate them because of what they know, of what they're already exposed to.
I know that one of the things that help make sex education happen is the environment, the home environment, because now we're talking about parents and the teenagers, the preteen. How can parents make their family, their home, a safe zone for their children? Because again, when it comes to sex education, it's a very sensitive thing, right? So not everybody, that's why, by the way, not everybody is willing to, dabble into it, because it's a highly sensitive conversation. So how can parents make it easy for their children to be able to come up and say, Mommy, I have a crush, or Mommy, I'm feeling this way, or Mommy, what's this, what's that? How can they do that?
Okay, parents can actually have this conversation. First and foremost, the sex education zone is a no judgmental zone. Okay. Sex education is a no judgmental zone if you must have it with your children. Number 2, it should be a safe space. If your home is not a safe space, don't expect your children. Now, not even on the issue of sex, every other thing. Your home must be a safe haven, must be a safe space where your children can confidently talk to you about any and every of their challenge, including sexuality issues. And number 2, it should be a no judgment zone. We all know children to be curious, right? When you're having this conversation, you have to be a parent that your child can talk to. If your child cannot talk to you, I'm sorry, you cannot have the conversation. If you are the Adolf Hitler and the Margaret Thatcher of your home, you should forget the sex conversation, because imagine what I said earlier, a no judgmental and a safe zone. If you are that type, it means it's a war zone already, so your children cannot come close. So if you want your children to come to you freely, your home must be a safe space and a no judgment zone. If you are the type of mother that criticizes, or the type of father that criticizes every other action of your child, forget it. They will not come to you. And sex conversation, education shouldn't be, like a lecture thing. Children don't like that, especially our teenagers. Yes. You now call them and say, oh, precious, now you are now growing breasts, boys will now start looking at you now, you just mind the way you now keep them sitting. 30 minutes you are talking. 1 hour you are talking. You have lost it. Yeah. You have lost them. If you really want this cool zone, there are different ways you can have this conversation, and they love it being informal. Yeah. I just bump in on my children and what is even smelling? You have not had your bath. You see, I talk about puberty all of the time. You're already in puberty. We have started sex conversation. Puberty is already on you. I can perceive the smell. So learn to wash well, clean up well. You're not growing big. We have started puberty conversation. I didn't sit them down. I've gone that part. Parents should look out for every teachable moment. It plays most of the time. They watch it on TV, they read it in books. I've taught my children, when they are reading books and they see books that are not age appropriate. Mommy, it's like they use the F word here. It's like they use words that are not age appropriate. They will drop the book, I will give it out. Then I also teach them when they are watching the movies and all that, all those parental guidance. I teach them SLV, all those things, what it means, sex, strong language, nudity, violence, when it's not age appropriate. If you see 16, if you're not up to 16, you cannot watch 18. All those, these are the parts of the things that parents should teach their children in the home. And when they're having this conversation in an informal way, they would love to come to them. I saw the way you are looking at that boy. Oh, Papa. Hope it's not. Mommy, no, now. See, but there's something called crush. Yeah. It has started. So there are different informal ways you can have this conversation without you being awkward in yourself, without the conversation sounding awkward. It's when you sit down, you yourself, you'll be tensed. In your mind, what will I say now that will be too much? What would this child now hear now that will now go? But if you look at this teachable moment and utilize them, it will help in making the sex conversation very easy in the home.
Amazing. Okay, so now if I'm a parent and I want to start sex educating my children, and probably I've taught them a couple of things, and then the next day they come up with a topic that I'm not even able to, I'm not yet in the mental space to be able to teach, how do I respond? So let's say my child comes to me and says, Mommy, what is condom? And then you've not had this conversation with this child, you've not mentioned it, but they have heard it somewhere or heard it from a friend, and they come back to you. How do you respond?
Now, parents have this problem of the perfection syndrome. Like, as parents, we're always carrying first. We don't carry last. We're always carrying first. And this is we not being vulnerable. Yeah. We are not Jesus. We only have one perfect master, which is Jesus. So we should be open to the children. If a child comes up to you with a conversation that you've not had with them, it's very simple. Oh, that's very good. I love that question, but can we have this conversation later? You're not throwing it off. What are you trying to do? You're trying to gain grounds. Go back and do your research. Ask Google, call friends, call specialists. Do whatever research you need to do, but ensure you come back to that question. Do not let your child cut you or throw you off balance and now start saying, then you now start lying. Once you lie, you have lost it. So it's okay to let them know that, we can have this conversation later. I can't answer this for now. Go back later, do your research, and answer them. For that one you asked about condom, my child asked me, this my same son that is explaining ovulation and all that, asked me this question when he was 6. Wow. He said, Mommy, what is condom?
That's the thing, because parents think that, my child doesn't know anything, though he's not aware of, they are blind. But they are interacting with their friends.
When he asked me, Mommy, what is condom? He saw it at the supermarket. And he called, Mommy, I saw one thing. He said, what is condom? I said, what I answered was, when couples don't want to give birth, this is what they use to prevent, it is age appropriate. When they don't want to give birth, they use this thing called condom. I did not tell him contraceptive. I did not tell him, that is for his, okay. So if you and daddy don't want to give birth, now people will now use this thing. I say, yes, so. And it ended. He didn't ask me anything concerning condom. But some other parents, you ask, hey, this child has gone there. Who have you been mingling with? Who have you been talking to? There is nothing.
And they won't ask again. They will lock up.
So when they have more difficult sexual conversation, they won't come to you. Because they feel that, Mommy will just start acting strange. Let me just keep my thing. And the truth is, dear parents, the moment you miss your children, at that point you've missed them for life. I've had children come to me to say, Miss Cynthia, I can't have this conversation with my parents. Mm-hmm. There is nothing. No, Miss Cynthia, there's nothing you can tell me. The other time I told my mom about, now you keep asking me about boys. But that is not it. It was only my challenge at that time. And I told her about, one guy I'm having a crush on, and she blew it. Or is it the one that a child will come to you to tell you, your pastor will use it to preach on Sunday? So there are so many reasons why children don't go to their parents to even want to have this conversation. But if you really want to build your home and have this conversation, let it be a no judgment zone, and let it be a safe space where your children can actually come to you for this conversation. Okay, so let's talk about the media for a moment. Does media, a lot of time children see a lot of things on media, by the way. They hear a lot of things. So how can parents be way ahead of the media, or at least teach them in such a way to counteract whatever negative information they get out there from the media? There's something called media literacy. There's something called media literacy in every home, just like what I mentioned about those the TV thing, the sex law, strong language and all that. These are part of media literacy. You need to teach your child, even when you're not there. If I'm not there, My children know what they can watch and what they cannot watch, even if they are somewhere else. They know too well to excuse themselves. So there is something called media literacy. You need to teach your children. Not everything they see is on the media is real. There are so many unrealistic expectations. Some children want to be figure eights. Meanwhile, there are filters they use to mix themselves, and they just portray it. A lot of things happening on the media. So much unrealistic views. So as parents, we need to teach these children that what they are seeing is the more you look, the less you see. You know, when you see an actress real life, you might not be able to recognize from the picture you have seen because the picture was just too perfect.
Yeah, heavily edited.
Heavily edited. So it's different. I show because I do editing, photo editing. So when I do something, I'll call my child and say, see me here. You see how bare and see me now. That is what you see on the screen. That is media literacy for you. Wow. It's not that deep. You don't need to go to Harvard to gain this knowledge. It's not that deep. You use the things in the environment to teach them. Some of them, they want to be like these celebrities. They portray this perfect life outside like, I don't have issues. When I read, I bring it to them, see this celebrity. See what this person is going through. They are not saying it. The media is not portraying it. This is what this person... They are humans like us. They have their own weaknesses. Right? So when you believe everything you see on the screen is to your own detriment. And not everything you see is real. So we need to teach them how to sift the wheat from the real thing. Don't, even when you hear, don't swallow hook, line, and sinker. You should be able to, sift it and pick out the truth. Not everything you see, you believe. True. So the main thing on media is teaching our children media literacy. Every home should have it. Yeah. Yes. Teach your children media literacy. It will help them and help their views about whatever they see on the social media. Yeah.
Okay, right here, right now, we're going to be talking about your resources, some of the resources you've put out there that parents can get, because if there's anything I will advise the parents watching this P&T show today, it is to start your sex education if you've not started. In fact, if you have a child who is 4, 5, is already late. So you need to run, you need to start. So let's know what are the books and then how can they get it, because someone might be, interested.
Okay, like you said, something can be late. The Igbos used to say something, anytime you wake up is your morning. So there is no late time to having this sex conversation with your children. I have a sexuality education planner for ages 0 to 18 for parents that have not started. This planner will help you, all the topics you're supposed to teach your children are already outlined. All you need to do is schedule dates. This month, this is the topic we're having. Next month, this is the topic. It is that easy. It's a planner. It's already been planned for you. All you need to do is to schedule the date. You have the conversation with your children. And also, I have the family sexual safety plan. Every home should have their family sexual values. There is no sex education without your sexual values. What do you stand for? If you don't have what you stand for, then you're not teaching your child anything. So for you to build your family sexual values, it's very important. As you walk into my home, the first thing you see on the right is my family statement, mission, vision, and our core values. Then on this side, you'll see our family sexual values. Wow. Yes, framed. Everybody knows. Amazing. So this thing is not just a document. You need to put it out there so they see what you stand by. If a child is not acting right, take them. Read this. You're actually not doing this right. You are showing them. They should live it every day, not what you close in the book. So that guide will help you through the process. Then my recent books, the Sexually Intelligent Teenager.
I love that book, by the way. Talk about it.
Intelligent Teenager is a handbook for everything. If you have a teenager or you have teenagers in your church, it's a handbook every teenager should have. Why? Because in that book, a lot of things worrying teenagers inside. I've been on the field with children for over 8 years. I don't just work in the office. I work with them, I eat with them, I sleep with them. So all the things they need on how to navigate this hypersexualized world is right there, and they don't even need their parents. For parents that don't know how to have the conversation, you can actually get this book, read a chapter and say, oh, see this book I got for you. I read this thing. What do you have to say about this thing is an opening point for you to have the sexual conversation with your children. And also, my sexual purity journal. Yes, we live in a hypersexualized world, but we are not of this world. We can actually stay pure despite the hypersexuality of everything, and there are ways. And these, I always teach my preteens and my teens. I point them back to the Bible. I preach Bible-based sexuality education. If it is not in the Bible, forget it. So I go on shows where they talk about lesbian, gay. Jesus loves us all. The same rain that falls on the sinners falls on the righteous. Jesus did not withhold the rain. Do you understand? We'll keep showing our love to those in that community, and we'll keep praying for them. But that does not mean that we should do what they are doing. We stand for the truth, and we know the truth. We'll keep praying and talking to them about the right way. So my sexual purity journal, the sexually intelligent teenager, these two books. The other one is like a journal, a reflection where they write their thoughts. That's my sexual. So it's a 40 days guided sexual purity journey. Wow. Yes. So it will help. They don't even need their parents. All they need is their book and their Bible and themselves. And they're okay. Same with the sexually intelligent teenager. At the end of it, we have a workbook. So the books are fully loaded. For every parent out there that are having challenges with this conversation, I will beg you, get this important materials. It's on Amazon. Okay. Yes, it's on Amazon. Is also on Seller. And also at the Sex Conscious Parent on Instagram, you can reach out if you have any personal message or question concerning sex and sexuality. Yeah, so I was just going to ask you to give out your handles in case someone wants to connect with you. Yes, at Sex Conscious Parent, together. Sex Conscious Parent. On Instagram? On Instagram. Yes. Okay. Wow, it's been a great time having this conversation with you, Counsellor Cynthia. I will do this over and over again. If you're looking for someone who is passionate about sexual purity, the banner is here. Thank you so much, and I hope that you'll be able to come again. Again and again. I'm always here. For my teens, for sexuality we stand. Raising sexually intelligent generation. That's where we stand. Amazing. Thank you so much for staying with us to the end of this show. It's been a great conversation with Counsellor Ruth, and I hope you've been able to pick out some lessons, especially if you're a parent watching this show. On this show every Friday, we bring you amazing content that will focus on celebrating parenting and inspiring teenagers. And I hope that today you've been able to pick up some things, as a parent, and that you're ready to implement it ASAP. I'll see you again next week, Friday by 6 p.m. But until then, ensure that you like, comment, subscribe to our YouTube channel, and share this video with any parents that you know, because we are about to change the world. Thank you. I'll see you again later. Bye.